simple, Jay. No pictures.
Monica Kendall asks, "Hey, what's the deal with the Redwall Feast? I pitched into the Kickstarter, but haven't heard the schedule."
One of the questions we get regarding Redwall is often regarding some of the prizes that were rewarded in the Kickstarter campaign, how they were linked to the release of the video game, and frankly, it's just been longer than anyone expected. So one of the big things is the big feast. So we offered in the Kickstarter that we would have a big Redwall themed feast with costumes and food from the books, kind of all rolled in. We would do like a real live feast, but it's linked to the release of the actual adventure game. A couple other prizes that are linked to that would be the art book, the concept art book, and some of the music. So a while back, I think it was about 6-7 months ago, we did a survey for all of the Kickstarter pledgers, and we asked them kind of a core question, which was, this has taken longer than we thought, which frankly isn't unusual regarding Kickstarters. Would you rather that we tried to fulfill these rewards now with what we've got? So basically, like, you can kind of get a concept art book up to date, or would you rather that we wait until the actual launch, which we don't want to make any promises? Probably about 70-80% of the folks said that they would prefer to wait. They would wait for the final product, and we think that's the right call. So when people ask, like, when is the feast going to be had? The reality is we want to do it any minute now, but we have to kind of link it to the product. So, of course, I think a lot of people got on the Kickstarter and they weren't quite putting the pieces together, and they thought that the Kickstarter was for the adventure game, not for Abbeycraft, and I think that caused a little bit of confusion somewhere. But the bottom line here is we intend and want and will provide all of these rewards just as we promised, except that they're all linked to the adventure game, which hasn't happened yet. So I realize that's a kind of a disappointment in some ways because it's still not here, especially if that was something you paid for. But also I want you to know, like, it's not gone. It's just been something that's part of the delay. So I hope that you understand that, and I hope that that's okay. Like I said, we did take a survey to make sure that folks were on board with that. And I think I agree with the choice. So about 80% wanted to wait, and I think that's the right call. So hope that answers questions, and continue on with Flurry Friday.
Hey, welcome to Flurry Friday. Today I want to talk about Wunderbooks. There's worth a story here. Years ago, must be 3-4 years ago now, we ran into a gentleman up here in Oregon who is pretty camera shy, so I won't even mention him by name. But his particular art was, I guess, what you'd call motion animation, and he had this really remarkable ability to take 2D images, so whether it was a painting or a picture or whatever else, and then he'd bring them into Photoshop and After Effects, and he would animate the snot out of them. And he could do remarkable things, including like lip syncing on these things. And so you'd get like a comic book, for example. And I remember one of his projects was working with a particular comic book that was a printed book, but then he would animate the whole thing, including animating their lips. It's really stunning what he could do. Anyways, he'd been working in that field for a long time. We really liked the guy, but he thought he wanted to do some of his own projects. And so we connected with him, taking 3 of the really, really popular Beatrix Potter stories and animating those. So when we did the research, we didn't know this, but of like all-time best-selling children's books, I think 4 of the top 10 are Beatrix Potter. And like the rest of her stories are in the top 20 or 30. Like, she is staggeringly well read. And so this is Peter Rabbit and Benjamin Bunny and Jeremy Fisher. It's that series of stories. And the degree to which they went nuts is basically unsurpassed by anybody. Now, magically, they are also in the public domain because that was over 100 years ago. And so it turned out to be a perfect place to start this. So we worked with this gentleman for as long as it took. It was probably most of a year to get 3 of these books animated, and the work was just staggering. It's so fun. It's so good. We got this beautiful music to go with it. We got these really neat voiceovers to come with it, and in the end, what we came up with is a product that we call Wunderbooks. And so we have 3 stories that we've animated. It is the Tale of Benjamin Bunny, who is Peter Rabbit's cousin, by the way. We have The Tailor of Gloucester, which is sort of unique. It's one of the only Beatrix Potter stories that doesn't reference her other characters, and it's set in kind of a Christmas theme. And then it's the Tale of Jeremy Fisher, which is my favorite, or Squirrel Nutkin, not sure. But we got these three animated, and back then, around 2012, 2011 or so, they were done, but frankly, like, it was the wrong time. And from a marketing point of view, they wound up kind of stumbling at the finish line. We are super excited that we were able to get them back online. And so we got everyone sort of back up to speed, and we got all three published now, including Benjamin Bunny in Spanish for folks who want to see it in that language. But it's something we are super passionate about. One of the big core values for Soma Games and Code Monkeys is about the celebration of beauty. There's a saying that there's only two things that pierce the human soul, and that's beauty and pain. Of the two, I picked beauty. So this really represents our commitment to beauty, our commitment to seeing things that are worth celebrating. It's artwork. It's not just Beatrix Potter's artwork, but it's also the artwork of this animator who we think is just the best we've ever met. And bringing that out to the public as just a gorgeous thing to enjoy, to bring with your kids, and it's meant to be one of the big thoughts that we had is so many of the interactive books out there right now. There's so many things going on. There's so many buttons and clicks and little things that they're fun, but they really take away from the story. They sort of like distract you from the actual story. So we went pretty bare on this. And so it's basically just the text. We have a few little puzzles in there just to give you something to do, but really it's just a celebration of the story of the animation. The reviews we've seen so far have been really positive, and we hope to make some more. So one little tidbit on that is that these were also designed because we know so many authors don't have a way to get their work out to this kind of audience. Like they're great authors, they're great illustrators, but they're not coders. And so we designed these to be a way in which we could work with other authors to get some other really great material out there. And that's part of the process too. So we hope you enjoy the Wunderbooks. We hope that we can make a whole lot more, and we'll see you next time.